Hey everyone, Dinosaur MTG here because I'm an old dinosaur when it comes to Magic. And a while ago on this channel, I showed off my pre-8th edition Commander deck. And sometimes I talk about it, when I'm doing the, pre-modern repack openings, cards I use in the deck and all that. Well, it's been a while, and the deck has gone through a lot of changes. And it actually has a theme right now, so I thought this would be a good time to show the updated version of the deck. I really love this deck. It's just all my old cards, a bunch of old cards I like playing with. My commander, Chromat. A lot of, complete. It's a lot more powerful than people think. I've been in a lot of situations in a lot of games where I'll do something with Chromat. They're like, wait, what? You can do that? Like his first ability, I can actually destroy their creature without them dealing combat damage to Chromat. That's nice. Or I'll activate its, put it on top of my library ability to, get around board wipes and, removal that doesn't destroy and all that. Stuff like that. But, I love having Chromat as my commander. So, let's take a look at the deck. So, I actually have all 10 dual lands in the deck, which is really sweet. Even all my basic lands are like beta and unlimited. So Mariki Rai Barrett, here's where we get into the theme of the deck. It's a thief deck. Basically the deck just steals everybody else's stuff. The basis of this deck was the whole reason I built a pre-8th edition deck was, I can't keep up with Commander meta. I can't keep up with all the new sets that come out. I try to remember out every card that comes out, remember what does what. So I'm just like, I'll build a pre-8th edition deck and just everything is pre-8th edition. I know everything. I don't have to worry about new stuff coming out and trying to figure out how to put it in my deck and all that. It's a it's a non-rotating commander deck. So yeah, like I said, this is a thief deck. So I have a lot of these creatures like Mariki Rai Barrett that tap to gain control of a target creature. Some old counter spells. I have all the tutors in here, all the tutors that matter. Which is funny, because I have all the tutors, the deck by definition is a 4 on the whatever commander scale. And although it doesn't play anywhere near a 4, so I have to tell people, I have by definition this deck is a 4, but it plays like a 3. Maybe a 2. Green Explorer. I have a bunch of mana dorks in here to ramp. There's another dual land. Original Counterspell. Arcane Denial. Vindicate. Abu Jafar, which is another forgotten kind of removal creature. Has pseudo death touch for only one mana. You can trade with anything that doesn't fly. There's a Worldly Tutor, another dual land, Worldly Council to fix my top of my deck. You know, more often than not, I have full domain when I cast it, so... Swords to Plowshares, classic removal. Another Thief, Rubinia Soul Singer. God, just good classic art. Regrowth, Soul Warden. You know, I gained so much life off of Soul Warden when people have, when playing against token decks that like produce lots of 1/1s. Abduction, there's one of my many enchantments that steal creatures. And you can actually cast this on your own creatures, save it from removal, because it'll just come back to play under your control. Ashes to Ashes. And it can actually exile 2 creatures. Dromar's Cavern, I have all 5 layers in here. I have a few of the invasion comes into play tapped lands. Animate Dead, that's a good one. Sulkanar the Swamp King, that's one of my favorites in this deck. He does a lot of work sometimes, especially if I'm playing against black. Usually I'll Worldly Tutor for him. There's Vampiric Tutor. Lay of the Land for some ramp. Savannah. Resurrection. Insurrection, one of my win cons. Plateau. Naturalize. False Demise to protect against removal. There's the original Tutor, Demonic Tutor. Forbid, another counterspell. Copy Artifact. You know, another forgotten card that does a lot of work. City of Brass, classic mana. Classic, any color mana. There's a swamp. My signed Unlimited Birds of Paradise. Clone. There's the Croesus Charm. Another Tutor. Some people don't, Eladamari's Call. Some people, you know, don't think about this Tutor. Carplusion Force. I got a couple pain lands in here. Reprisal. Decent removal. Beautiful Vesuvan Doppelganger. Reflecting Pool. Felwar Stone. A nice original Felwar Stone. Gemstone Mine. Utopia. Another dual land. Impulse to my top of my deck. I got a Fervor, increase haste, so I can gain control of creatures as soon as they hit play. Sea Singer, another thief card that people don't even remember exists. You know, I have islands when I cast her, but you know that I have to. My opponent has to have islands if I want to steal from them, so he's kind of limited, but still is a decent card. Blue Elemental Blast. Portent. Thran Quarry, which is an excellent mana fixing land. Rampant Growth. Brushland, Rith's Grove. Bribery, this is a nice card people don't think about. I can just grab the biggest, baggest creature out of somebody's deck. Usually I'll tutor for that. Taiga, A Raven Familiar to fix my top of my deck. Control Magic, another Thief card. Dromar's Charm, Coastal Tower. A nice Alpha Disenchant. Factor Fiction. My LGS didn't have any like original Invasion ones, so the best that I could do was a World Championship version, but you know, Casual Commander, it's fine. Classic Mystical Tutor. There's a Tundra. Nice original Arch Soul Ring. Raised Dad. Sylvan Library. Great at getting what you need off the top of your deck. A Bayou. Island. Nature's Lore, which can actually fetch up dual lands. Nice original Mirage Quirion Elves. Ashen Powder, which is a little more expensive Animate Dead. Urborg Elf, Confound, Terror, Sage Owl, Undermine, and another version of Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead. And yeah, that is my pre-8th edition Commander deck. I enjoy playing with this, even though it doesn't win most of the time. But that's fine. I just love playing with these old cards. If you like this kind of content, looking through old stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Until then, keep playing Magic the way Richard Garfield intended.